What's up? This is Zeb, and I'm the host of My Highway Podcast, sponsored by Regions Bank. Today, I'm pumped because we have Nicolette Hayford and her co-writer / artist who is killing Nashville right now with a brand new album that she just dropped titled Never Will, Ashley McBryde. It's her sophomore album, and Ashley has been nominated and won a CMA for New Female Artist of the Year in 2019 and was also nominated for 2 Grammys. Ashley and Nicolette have been writing together for many years, and they're going to talk about that today on the podcast, how they met, how they go about writing in a writing room, and how Nicolette and her have really bonded and have some of the biggest hits that Ashley's had, like One Night Standards, which is the current single, and Little Dive Bar in Dahlonega, which was on the first album of Ashley's. What's up? How are y'all?
I'm in good health.
Same.
Cheers.
And I know y'all said you were quarantining and doing all the rules, right? Even though you're within 6 feet.
Yeah, it's really nice to see Nicolette. I mean, we're closer than 6 feet, but we're both healthy and washed our hands and everything, so it's all good.
I'm glad y'all hopped on today because I love both of you. And when I started this podcast, I was hopeful that I could get people like you two on here to talk about your journeys to Nashville and how life isn't easy being a musician and what all you've gone through and the things that you've struggled with, but not only that, the success that you've had, and Ashley and Nicolette both, because you played a big part in the album. It's my favorite album out right now, and I've been listening to it every day on my walks or at home working and everything, and I love all the songs on there in their own way, and I can't wait for the rest of the world to hear it more and more as the days go forward.
Yeah, and Nicolette and I were just discussing before we jumped on that we kind of, she has built her career on her own, and I've built my career on my own, but they have paralleled so much that I owe a lot of my success to Nicolette, and some of the songs that I've had success with just wouldn't exist without her. She's going to get mad because I'm just going to compliment her for the entire podcast.
Stop.
But even as writers, this was the first person, when I found out I was getting a publishing deal for the very first time, this was the first person I took a shot with. I found the photos today in my phone of us drinking out of my camping Coleman flask.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I was so skinny.
Well, I know, just so the listener knows, I actually work with Nicolette on the daily basis as a songwriter, and she blows my mind every day. So and when she said that she was willing to jump on a podcast, I took advantage of it because she does not like to be in front of the camera. She don't like to be on the mic. She don't like to be anywhere that people can see her. But the girl is talented, and I love everything about her. So I'm happy to have you both, like I said. And Ashley, if you just wanted to talk about, your journey to Nashville and how long you've been here and all of that real quick for the listener so that they can learn a little bit more about you, maybe things that not everyone knows.
I was born in 1942 in a cast iron skillet.
In a cast iron skillet?
Yeah, no, that's not true. I moved to Nashville it was like January of 2006, I think, when I look back at it. But I'm from Arkansas, and that's a great place to be from. I'm from the Ozark Mountains, which is awesome. It's just all red dirt everywhere, and good folks, simple folks that just aren't looking to screw you over most of the time. And then I wound up moving to Memphis when I was in college. I went to college at Arkansas State University in Jonesboro, Arkansas, which is only an hour and a half from Memphis. That's where we would sneak to go to the clubs and hear live music. And so at 19, I started playing in bars in Memphis because they would let me and they would serve me. And those bars aren't open anymore, so that's okay if I say that. And I was playing so often in Memphis, 5-6 nights a week, whether it was a coffee house or a bar, that I started missing so much class that it was really noticeable at Arkansas State. And I was there, take this in, man, it's a really cool thing. I was there on a French horn scholarship, whatever. So I started missing a lot of class, and not only my instructor, but my mentor and I won't give his name because his job is to keep students in the school, one day said, you should go. You should move to Nashville right now because you're skinny, you're pretty, and things are going to happen for you. And in 5 years, you're going to be fat and nobody's going to care. And he was right on all of those fronts. I was skinny and pretty, and things were going to happen for me. And then in 5 years, I was going to be chubby. But then the lessons that nobody's going to care, that wound up not being true. So I dropped out of school that day. I went to the Dean of Fine Arts at Arkansas State and told him I was leaving. And he gave me his blessing. He said, I hate to see you go. But this music that you're studying here, classical music, is not your love. Your love is songwriting and playing. You should go and do it. So I moved to Nashville with a friend, and we lived over by the Opry Mills Mall eventually. But when I first moved to Nashville, I lived with my friend Jenny Adcock. She managed a storage place, like Sure Storage. And there was an apartment on the campus there where all the little storage lockers were, and we lived in this little apartment. So I lived in a storage unit.
That's amazing.
And that's how I got here, and I've been here ever since. And I don't plan on leaving.
Wow. So when you got to town, I mean, as a new artist, you knew you had some kind of talent. You wanted to be here. What were the first things that you did to make friends and meet people? I know that's a question that I get all the time. Is like, what do? I come to town. There's so many talented people.
I didn't know anybody, and I moved here not knowing anybody, and I knew I wanted to be a songwriter. That's what I want to do for the rest of my life. I essentially want to make things up, and I expect someone to pay me about it. So Jenny had lived here for about a year before I moved into the storage unit with her, and she said, there's this really cool bar on Demumbrian, in Dan McGinnis, and on Monday nights they have Guinness Girls, and it's run by this lady named Terry Jo Box, and it's only women on Monday nights. And so I would go and listen to Lisa Carver, Danielle Peck, and eventually I got to play at one of these Monday night things. And at that bar, at Dan McGinnis on Tuesdays, they would let me play from 6 to 8 on the patio, and my payment was buy one, get one drafts and half off appetizers. And I found out really fast that vehicles do not run on beer. It'd be really nice if they did. But I would play anywhere that they would let me because, I come from Memphis where I'm doing bars and coffee houses. And it's not the same in Nashville. Nobody's going to pay you anything to do what you do. But so that's where I started making friends was Dan McGinnis. And I met Terry Jo Box, and I met Lisa Carver. I met Patrick Savage, and some people that I would wind up writing really great songs with. And I don't know, I played anywhere that they would let me play without throwing bottles or shoes at me while I played. And I played so many writers' nights, those open mic nights, and some of them are terrible. And you're sitting here playing with strangers, in the round, and some of them you would look at and go, wow, I will never be that good. And some of them you would look at and be like,
do I have to sit through this?
I hope I don't sound like that.
Now either that's not the bracket I'm in, or I'm just really full of myself, and that is the bracket I'm in. But that's one of those things you have to go through. That you have to decide for yourself where you belong. And so I played every writer's night. I even played one, which is that where I met you?
Elm
Hill Tavern.
Yeah, shout out to Crystal Chandler.
Shout out to Crystal Chandler for me meeting Nicolette. She plays a set at Elm Hill Tavern, and then piano. All of a sudden, here's what. Can I sing something on here? Or do you have to license it?
No, go for it.
She's playing piano. All of a sudden, she goes, say my name. If no one is around you, say, baby, I love you. If you ain't running game. And she got to the rapping part, and I was like, I love this girl.
Yeah, Crystal jumped in. We had a whole thing.
And Dave Calhoun was there that night, too. Another great songwriter. Oh, yeah. So that's kind of how we bumped into each other.
When was that? What?
Probably 8 years.
8 years. Yeah. And then you started coming to Rusty Nail.
Yeah. Because Terry Jo was doing, what was it called then? Trucker Hat Tuesdays.
At the Rusty Nail.
Mm-hmm. Boy, that was some wild shit.
Is that the one in Hermitage?
Uh-huh.
That was the first bar I went to when I moved to Nashville. So I moved to town and moved to Hermitage.
That's the perfect bar to go to.
And the week before I went there, somebody had got shot in the parking lot. And they were like, I don't know if you should. Yeah, that's hilarious. Nicolette, you want to tell your story when you moved to town and kind of how you got into songwriting?
Yeah, I was such a little weirdo. You know, my dad, I still am, but my dad was always played music and was a songwriter and a musician too. And I would like sneak on the piano when he was gone and like try to teach myself songs, you know. And I didn't really know what I was doing. And then as I got older, I kind of like met some people, but I was in Jacksonville Beach by the time I kind of started to really do it regularly, like right. And Jacksonville Beach is not like a great place for me. It's like a bunch of like white dudes singing reggae versions of Marshall Tucker Band with like a didgeridoo and a triangle at like beach bars. But I was like, yeah, man, let's collab. So yeah, I did some of that, which was weird. And but at the same time, my dad helps put on this thing called the Durango Songwriters Expo. And so I got to start going to that. And I met so many people that ended up being so important to my whole journey there. Like Shannon Hatch, Rob, Julie, like Al Anderson, who I was so obsessed with. Like all I wanted was for him to think that I didn't suck, and like Chuck Cannon and all these writers that I was just like in awe of.
Just Chuck Cannon, it's fine.
No, man, and I was like, it was good because I could be like, I wasn't in Nashville yet, and I could be like, well, that's the bar. Like, you still suck like real bad. Like real bad. And you know, compared to most of that shit I still do, but I kind of got like realized that was a thing and got into like the culture kind of thing of it. And then I eventually just told my boyfriend that I was dating for like 5 years, this like surfer guy, that I was like, you're taking like 12 years to get a bachelor's degree, and like, I gotta go do my own shit. And so, like, just one year on the 4th of July, I just loaded up all the shit in my Kia and drove to Nashville, watched the fireworks going off in the background while I drove off. And then I came here and, you know, got drunk for like 2 years, and because I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And then I stumbled into a writer's night, that Elm Hill thing that Crystal was doing, and then the Rusty Nail thing, and I met all those little weirdos.
And when I first heard Nicolette sing, I didn't think that's going to be my best friend. It wasn't like... I didn't think I was
fair, dog.
Like, we met at that bar. We didn't like meet each other and be like, we're gonna be best friends and we're gonna paint each other's toenails. Like, no, I respected her as a songwriter. I loved what she did. I loved the way she sounded, and it was actually a little hard because I was so new, and I mean, we came to the Rusty Nail at kind of the same time. For me to be like, I would love to write songs with you sometime, and we eventually would. And our very first song together was Valvoline, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Which has been in line to go on every record I've cut.
And then we wrote, our second write was Mississippi Flyway.
Hang on, it was, oh goodness, it's in A. You keep talking, I'll think of what it is.
What are you talking about?
It's
different song?
It's hard to say. It's hard to say where this thing is going. That was our second song.
That's right.
And then Mississippi Flyway was our third, which is one of my favorite songs I've ever written.
I still love that song. Yeah, but we really bonded when I went through this breakup apocalypse, and I got dumped in the flooring aisle of Home Depot. And true story. And I called Ashley, and like nobody could go anywhere, and I'm like, I can't even get out of my driveway. I need somebody with 4-wheel drive to come get me. I just got dumped in a Home Depot, and true story.
Nicolette's heartbreak is
Wait,
my
that's
one,
where
man.
that song came from?
Well, not purely, but that was a big part of it.
I lived on her couch for like a week when nobody could go anywhere, and I just like drank all her whiskey.
And she made chili, and so I just kept her full of chili and whiskey, and she did happen to vomit one night.
She held my hair back like a champ, man.
You're looking at us right now. She was sitting kind of like this. There was a trash can right here. I had my arm around her and my drink in my hand, and I was watching TV, and she would heave, and I'm like, "It's okay, buddy.
It's all right, buddy." She was so used to it. She just helped me through it.
But that day that we came in to write, before Jesse got there, I said, all right, so your breakup. What about here's to the breakups that didn't break us? And that's all we had for a little while. We had Bagpack, First Love of Your... Anyway, Jesse gets there and tells this amazing love story about him and Kendra. And so then the chorus only has to be about them, except every time I sing it, I still laugh because I picture her puking on my couch.
That's totally... Yeah.
I just got chills because that's what real songs are about. Like those stories that you can always relate to. That's crazy. I didn't know that, and I know both of you, so that's insane. I mean, I'm in shock. I didn't even know that, but I would love to know the rest of the stories. I know that once you started, I think there's a couple that y'all had on the new album that Nicolette, you were writing at River House at the time. So I would like walk in to do something, laundry or something up there. I was like, okay, now's not a good time. I'll come back. But talk a little bit more about how y'all dive into writing and like, you know, how you come up with the ideas, and especially with the songs that y'all write together. I know a lot of them are so deep and personal. Like how do they come about?
Was it Washington that said don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes? Was that because I'm not a history buff or anything.
Yeah, I don't know that answer. I don't want to get caught.
But if that's who said that, then it's actually me and Nicolette and Connie Harrington that kind of developed this philosophy with each other that nobody writes anything down on the paper until somebody cries. And you could laugh until you cry, or you could cry because you're angry, because we're women, right? We cry if we're happy or sad or funny. But until we hit like a nerve, we don't.
Yeah.
And you and I have written some stuff that we'd get like halfway through the song, or even all the way through the song, and then be like,
nah,
that's total shit. We're not putting that out.
Totally.
I think Nicolette and I
should tell him about Leroy, though.
You definitely should.
Dog. So, I came out to Ashley's farm, and she lived on this farm.
Oh my God, you're going to tell the whole story.
I have to. It's so funny. For the first time. And Leroy was a real person that I lived next to. I mean, obviously, you never let the truth get in the way of a good song. We took some liberties, but most of that is all true. But anyway, Ashley's like, come out of the house and we're going to write. I just got this chicken. You got to meet this chicken.
And I'm putting this coaster out not because you need to put...
Who is that?
That's Trisha Yearwood. But because it's uneven right here, and that'll even your drink
on
out.
her face. But all right, Trish. Anyway, so... she was all about this chicken, and if you know me at all, you know that like I got a real phobia of birds.
Randall Clay gave me the chicken.
I know, and you were like, he's like an Ebo chicken. His thing's all flopped over, and you were all excited about it. And so I'm like, all right, I'll come meet this damn chicken. And I go out there, and I swear to you, I've been there 5 minutes. And a dog that she had, or somebody had at the time named Buckethead, had already busted in the horse stall where LW, the chicken, lived, and grabbed that chicken, was dragging him out. It was a whole thing. Ashley had to run in, get a gun, shoot a pistol in the air so the dog would drop the chicken. And it was like this whole thing. I was like, I've been through some shit, but this is like the countryest shit I've seen in a while, man.
Well, and the best part of it for me was, I'd gone in, grabbed a gun belt, because I know when I find the chicken, it's going to have to be put down, because if it's not already dead, I don't want it to suffer. So I put the gun belt on and I shoot up in the air. Dog drops the chicken. Chicken has already passed away. And so I've got a dog on a leash and a chicken by the feet. And I walk back down to the barn and I asked Nicolette, would you please hold this dog while I throw this chicken over the fence? So I throw it and she's kind of holding her breath. I throw it over the fence, and I'm very sad.
She was so sad.
That was a cool chicken. Randall Clay gave me that chicken,
so
man. I was
sad
very
about the
excited
chicken.
to start my chicken operation. And I get back with no chicken in my hand, of course, and Nicolette goes, "Can I laugh now?" And I said, "Yes." She goes, "That is the countryest fucking thing I've ever seen in my life."
Oh, it's so funny. And then we wrote Leroy.
Then we sat down on the porch and wrote "Living Next to Leroy." Yeah.
Wow. I think I did hear that story one time at Red Door or something. That's hilarious. One of the other things too that I wanted to talk about was just the overall, like, I know that y'all have written together since you became friends, but how you've brought in other writers. Like, I know Nicolette, just from working with her, she always has ideas like, oh, this person would be great with Ashley, or this person would really get what we're trying to do. How do you, now that you have some success with your own music, how do y'all handle that dynamic of writing with other people, but still keeping your own thing to yourselves?
We produce well, we get good stuff out of each other. But for me, I knew that if me, Nicolette, and Lori McKenna could get in the same room. Now, Lori McKenna does not need an Ashley and Nicolette song. She's a monster writer, but I knew that we would get something good if we could just make that happen. I don't even know how that happened. I just knew that it needed to happen. Was it Zeb? Thanks, Zeb. And we did. We got Keeping Up with Jonesin', which is on Nicolette's new EP that you can get right now anywhere you get music.
Oh. Makes me so nervous and excited.
I don't know. I really trust Nicolette's instincts when it comes to adding someone to she and I. I don't add thirds quite as often, but I will ask her pretty often. Who do you think would be good with us?
Yeah, I feel like our thing is, I know what we're gonna do, and I know that, like, what's so awesome about our writing dynamic is, like, I mean, we're family. So, like, if like Ashton wants to cuss me out and be like, "If you sing that melody one more fucking time, bitch," and I'm like, "You right?" You know, like, there's no ego, because we're just having a good time. So, like, nobody's feelings are getting hurt or whatever. But, like, we'll fight each other on shit, and so it's usually just got to be somebody that's just, like, just cool, like,
somebody that can handle mom and dad fighking.
Yeah,
too.
right,
Yeah.
and not be thinking that we're, like, whatever. Like, that's just how we write together. You know, it's like we just,
like, especially talking about Chrissy's single "Talking to God." We write the song, and then Nicolette goes, "Sing the work tape," and I go, "I'm not singing the work tape. You sing the work tape." And she said, "Why?" And I said, "You think you can fit all those fucking words in one phrase without breathing? Then you do it." And she does.
True.
And then it becomes Chrissy Met's single, "Talking to God," and that's one of those things where I was wrong, and I'm okay with being wrong, but I was gonna make her prove that she was right too.
Man, and, like, what's cool is, like, her absolute trust in me, because we were doing a retreat that was just gonna be me and her and Connie again, and she was getting ready to go in and cut, and I was like, "Man, what if we just totally fuck it up and just, like, get some random people?" She's like
6 songwriters in there.
"I don't give a shit. Pick whoever you want." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And so we had me, you, Connie, and then I had Aaron Richier, Jake Mitchell.
And I picked Brandy Clark.
Who
I knew would say no to doing a retreat with me and Nicolette. And she said yes.
And I have to say, like, on some of those two songs from that you cut, you know, people talk a lot of shit sometimes about looking and seeing a lot of writers on a song.
Yeah, like trying too hard.
Yeah, and I gotta say, like, that was first of all, the coolest retreat I've ever went on, because no one gave a shit. It was literally like family vacation, and the song was the puzzle, and we're like, all right, those two are on to something. Like, I'll go start dinner, somebody will go smoke a bowl, do something, you know, make a drink, whatever the hell's going on. But, like, and then somebody be yelling a line from the kitchen or the back porch or whatever.
The bathroom in my case.
Yeah, we're in the bath. Totally.
And you know what? Out of that weekend, we wrote 5 songs, and of those 5 songs, we wrote Sparrow and Voodoo on the same day.
Crazy.
And I cut both of those, and then we also wrote Talking to God, and that became a Chrissy Metz hit. And then we wrote another song called Ring on a Rebound, which is on hold.
I love that song too.
We had a
Right,
damn
and
good retreat.
there's only one other song that's like floating around out there, which we were writing those songs kind of in jest, like to warm up.
Yeah.
But those retreats, I was telling Nicolette just a while ago, like those retreats, I can go out and do that. We can write 5 songs, and 5 of them are viable. Yeah.
So after quarantine, we're doing another retreat, right?
Absolutely.
I'm sure the world wants to hear some more of those songs.
And at the very last minute, we'll just throw Brandy Clark back in there again. And she'll be like, oh, here's some more of my brilliance.
And Connie's in there with the damn ding, ding, ding with the tequila. She's got a xylophone. Oh, man.
I'm going to go see if there's tequila, because when you're riding with Connie, we went to her lake house one time, and all of a sudden a xylophone comes out and it goes, bong, bong, bong. And it's ding, ding,
and
ding.
And if you hear that it's ding, ding, ding time, you got to come in and take a shot
of tequila. Let me see if I've got some.
It's awesome.
Nicolette, while she ran off, do you want to talk about, I was going to ask Ashley too the same question, but just from the time that you moved to town until when you signed your first publishing deal, just kind of talk about like how long that took, what that was like, and was there any point in there where you were just like, I don't know if this is the right thing for me?
Boy, that's a loaded question. Yeah. I did what I thought was right at the time. I was doing that Durango Expo a lot, and then I got to a point, I was working in restaurants and whatever, and that was eating up a bunch of my time. And then I got to a point where I needed to, in order to manifest the deal, I needed to pretend I already had a deal. So I was starting a write at 11 o'clock every day and changing my schedule around. And then I quit my job and was like super broke and stressed out so that I could do this thing where I basically pretended like I had a deal. And then I got a deal, and, you know, every part of your journey is crucial, and I would not be the writer or the person or whatever that I am. But I will say that, you know, I went through a lot of shit on that first one. And I went through a lot of shit getting out of that first one. And I am super grateful for you and for Shane and for Robin and Lynn and everybody that just kind of heard me for the first time. It's hard to be in a deal and have things going on like that. Dahlonega happened, and then like still nothing's changing, and nothing's like, I felt like I was sort of like wearing shoes that didn't fit anymore, you know what I mean? And it was painful. Like, it was not good, and I didn't feel good about me as a writer. I didn't feel good about any of it. And then that AIP thing happened, and I felt heard.
Talk about that.
First of all, I wanted to shit my pants.
Who you on stage with?
Because I don't even like rounds anyway, because they make me nervous. Everything makes me nervous. And it was, I think on that round was me, was Shane, Kylie, shout out to Break Things, which is dope. And I'm so excited that, like, how just crazy how things fall together. And now, like, that song's out in the world. And me and Luke Laird.
Luke Laird, yeah.
And, you know, I wanted to, like, throw up the whole time. So instead I drank. But speaking of, ding, ding, ding.
Ding, ding, ding.
Cheers.
Hold, please.
That's a rye, sorry.
Ooh, okay.
It's rye, sorry, it's not regular whiskey.
I like rye. I'm into rye.
I was about to say, that's real dark tequila if you're over there drinking tequila.
I was out of tequila. It was fine. I found
So
a suitable substitute.
Whew. But yeah, nice. I literally, like, getting into that new deal with you guys, I felt like I just figured out what being a songwriter in Nashville felt like. Like, I mean, I didn't even realize how, like, stifled and how, like, sad I was not understood. Like, nobody gave a shit about Sheila, that song that I wrote, you know, like,
I love that song.
I mean, for being, you know, and I'm like, this is kind of like my thing. I'm just trying to be true to my thing, and that's like the kind of shit that, like, really feels most like me. And then now every time I do something like that, they're like, you're weird and dark, and we're kind of worried about you being so sad, but good job,
keep doing
buddy.
that, yeah.
You know, like, and I'm like, oh, it's okay. I can just be this.
Well, I don't remember what year you wrote Sheila, but when you sent me the work tape from you and Park, and I was like, this song is brilliant. And I'm telling you, if they will let me, I will cut it on a record. If you got the balls to write it, I got the balls to cut it, because it was something that hadn't been said. And there's somebody in your family that you want to say that to. And now you don't have to, because she said it.
Sheila ain't happy about it, dog.
The real Sheila is not excited about that.
Well, and that's one thing, that's what I kind of wanted to shine the light on, because a lot of people move to town, and, you know, I do my round in town, and people are there 2 years, 3 years, and they're really down the dumps because they don't have a deal. And I'm like, hold on a second. I know people who have been in town for 10 years, and then when they get a deal that they're so happy about, it's not what they thought it was going to be.
That's kind of, I mean, I don't want to speak ill of anybody, but you know, when I first moved to town, somebody told me nothing good will happen to you for 10 years, which is not true. Everything that happens to you as soon as you get here is important. It's all good, and it's all moving you to a place. And I was playing 26 days a month in bars, from Tulsa, Oklahoma to Lexington, Kentucky. I had my little route that I would do. And I was doing okay money-wise. Like, I could live that way, but I wasn't getting any closer to being a songwriter, like to being a published songwriter. And finally, I got my first pub deal. And that took me from playing, 20 days a month, 26 days a month, to playing 15 days a month. And now my brain can really work as a songwriter and not worry quite so much. It's not true that nothing good will happen to you for 10 years, but it will take 10 years. If I could give advice to anybody, you move here, you get you a full-time job or a part-time job, and you put roots down. You change your address, you change your driver's license. If you don't, you won't last 6 months.
Yeah,
you want to be here because you want to be here.
I think that's the biggest thing. You have to remember that, like, you don't have to get, like, freaked out about where people are and, like, in terms of getting cuts or even, like, the caliber of song. Like, getting here, you got to look at, like, how all in is everybody else. Mm-hmm. If you are all in to where it's like, I come to Nashville sometimes, like, good luck, man. You're up against people that are, like, here sweating it out,
living
breaking
in their cars,
up with people, like, yeah, selling everything they own. Like that's the kind of grit you're up against. So, like, that's what you got to remember is, like, the people that are in it for the long haul, like, gave up everything.
And that's a difference between, I try to tell young folks, like, the difference between a hobby and a passion.
Right.
If you want to come here and do songs, and if you can only come here once a month, come.
Sure.
We want you to. But once you realize the difference between hobby and passion, that's the person that lives in their car. That's the person that lives in a storage unit. That's the person that sells everything they have.
Right.
And there's no backup plan. We are here. We are gonna be songwriters. It's that or bust. And a lot of us do bust.
Yeah.
And then we move away. And then we move back. If you're a songwriter, then you're a songwriter. And that's...
You can't really shut it off.
You can't turn it off. Yeah.
I mean, I wasn't even trying to be a songwriter. I was just trying to work in the business, and I sold Comcast cable door to door for a year. I mean, you just got to do what you got to do sometimes to pay the bill.
Man, I have cleaned houses.
Oh, same. Dude, maid life was so weird.
Man, trying to clean a house with dogs in it is like trying to clean a pool while people pee in it.
That is the truth.
It's the worst.
Trying to clean a house while the people you're cleaning the house with are going through somebody's medicine cabinet is also tricky in a different way, but it's also true. Y'all watch out for the maids now.
That's hilarious.
And I wouldn't trade the education I got from I guess we're in 2020 now. So I guess, I mean, I would go back to '05. I would not trade my education from '05, '06 to now for anything in the world. And it doesn't have a certificate, and I'll never be able to frame it, but you'll never take it from me, because you can't do what we do now without having done all that other stuff. I'm lucky that I have somebody I trust, that I can just be like, today we're going to write a musical. And she'd be like, okay.
Fine.
And you know what? One of her best tools with me is let's have a smoke.
That is true.
And that's her way of saying you're on the wrong path. Sometimes it's her way of saying you're on the right path. Most of the time, it's because she wants me to just go do something mind-numbing for a second and stop thinking that way that I was thinking. And we just sit there and chit-chat for that 7 minutes. And things like Stone fall out, because I wanted to write that song from an angry standpoint. I'm angry I lost my brother. You're angry too. And I'm super angry because my brother ended his own life. And she wasn't going to have that. She said, come on, dog, let's smoke. And we sat there and smoked until I laughed. And was like, God bless it, I sound like Clay. And my band had just bought me this really cool kind of off-white, like a TV yellow Fender Mustang. And that's what I was going to play that day. And so she was like, go inside, grab the guitar, let's do this. And we did it, and it wound up on the record. And I knew it would. We wrote it on January 18th-ish. Ooh, might have been 8th. But, you know, Clay died in June. We wrote in January, got the song done. And I said, you know, we're not making the record till this next May, June. But that needs to be on the record. And if it is, I want it to be dedicated to our siblings.
And that might be my favorite song on there.
A Marlboro Light is a hell of a tool.
I know. I hate that all the things that really get us going are terrible for us, but what can you do?
Well, I mean, it's kind of like your therapy, right? Like, that's
it's
how you
very
cope
much
with
like
things.
therapy.
Yeah.
And I found out, you know, once I started touring so heavily, and I thought I had an anxiety disorder, which maybe I do, but my therapist was like, you don't have an anxiety disorder, you're just not writing. And I was like, ooh. Yeah, so it literally is a life-saving device for folks like us.
Yeah.
And Ashley, how long was it from the time that you moved to town until you got your first publishing deal? Like, what was that timeline like for that to the record deal?
It was probably, I think I signed in 2013, and it became effective 2014, January 1. So I'd been here since 2006.
Oh, wow. And how did you, like, I know for me, I got really lucky. So it's my 5th year in Nashville this month. And I know that, you know, even for my family, they were like, what the heck are you doing when I moved to town? And the whole journey, like, how did y'all's families cope with, like, you wanted to do music for a living? And like, how does that relate for you both? Like, what, I know now you have success, but it took, you know, you've been in town for 10 years. Like, how did the family?
My mother never had a doubt, ever. But I've said it before and I'll say it again. I could have told her I wanted to be a unicorn, and she would be like, yes, go be a unicorn. She's just always been a big supporter. My father never cared a thing about it, hated it. That's not a way to live your life. My siblings, the oldest siblings for the most part, were that way too. We just don't want to hear anything about it. It's a bunch of heathens and sinners, and we don't care anything about it. So that I don't know. I just leaned on Mom quite a bit, and knowing that she thought I could do anything. What did yours think?
I mean, my dad wanted me to do this thing, you know, because he had done it, and that can get weird. That can get weird when, like, your parents have a dream for themselves, and then they watch their kid do their thing. I think that there's a lot of, like, pride and love, but sometimes that comes with some weirdness or resentment or whatever that has to be figured out. And it has. But that's just such a dream is such a weird thing. So like when you share that with a parent or a sibling or whatever, I think that kind of can get a little weird. But you just another thing to navigate. The rest of my family is like they kind of get it now, but I think most of them are just like, that's cool. I don't. So you don't have a job, right?
Yeah,
Like,
I think they think we take naps
I'm
all
on
the time.
right. I'm like on these group texts all the time with my family, and they're like, "What's going on?" Blah blah. And I'm like, I get that y'all don't think I have a job, but like I am doing something right now at like 2 p.m. on a Tuesday. Like I am, and they're like, "You never respond to group texts." I'm like, "Yeah, that kind of my MO for starters." Also, like,
well, and you think
it's
I don't have
job.
a job, and I would like for you to know that I don't have time off.
Right. They're like, "You're doing all this fun shit all the time." I'm like,
No,
"Is
no,
it
I'm
though?"
taking pictures of fun shit.
Right.
I'm just driving past the fun shit.
Would y'all like me to take
go-
pictures when I'm like crying, like I don't even have health insurance, I don't feel good, I don't have a safety net?
Man, I wouldn't do
I'm
anything.
lonely.
I wouldn't do anything else for a living, and I've done a lot of
I
stuff.
can't.
I've been a security guard. I've waited tables, which I'm terrible at. I've worked in music retail, and even on my worst day, writing songs. This is without being an artist or doing the artist thing, which is a phrase I fucking hate.
Are you doing the artist thing?
Are you doing the artist thing right now? Oh, she's doing the artist thing. My worst day as a songwriter is still better than my best day doing anything else for a living. And
1000%.
that's the difference between something you'd like to do for a living and something you must do or you might die.
Yeah.
Which sounds extreme, but that's the way I've always felt about it.
Yeah. I mean, I've had a lot of jobs, and I'm always like, man, because I don't want anybody to like talk bad about me thinking like I suck at something. So like when I was a maid, I'm like, I'm going to be the best damn maid. Mm-hmm. When I was like a waitress, I'm like, I'm going to be the best damn waitress.
She actually is a really good waitress. I used to go to Richard's Cafe.
Yes.
When she would work, she and Crystal
Yes.
Chandler both. I got to have etouffee, I got to have gumbo, I got to try my first Cajun food because, I mean, again, let's just attribute something else
Man, I
to
met some
Nicolette
cool people
Hayford.
through that too, man.
Yeah. I met Bob there.
Yeah. That was a good time. But, you know.
She's a fantastic server.
You can only be a waitress. Well, I did
I'm
it for
terrible.
15 years. I mean, talk about your 10,000 hours, man.
I can't even tell you what I had for breakfast,
a
much less
master.
whether you were drinking sweet or unsweet tea, because I don't care.
I threw up on a table one time when I worked at a barbecue restaurant.
Do you hear what she just said? I threw up on a table one time when I worked at a barbecue
I
restaurant.
was like 18 and I was super hungover. It was like one of my first
Oh my
waitressing jobs. And I met like so many of my best friends, like Danielle and Laura and my girls like back home. And we first worked there like together, and we were just crazy, and we would go out, you know, and we all used the same fake ID, and we would just like take turns like using it. It was terrible. And we go to this place called, I won't say it, and for ladies drink free night and just get smashed. And then I'd have to go to work, and I'd be so hungover. And one day, and that place got so damn busy, like it was
I
terrible.
didn't pour enough for this story.
But I was so hungover, and I like go up to this table, and I had the mouth sweats. Like I kind of knew what was coming, but I went up and I was like, "Hey, how y'all doing? Can I get you some?" And it was just like, a little spit up, like a baby.
You ain't right.
And I was like, you know, and I just like start grabbing napkins. I was like, I don't really know where we go from here. Like, I get that, like, y'all probably, and they're like, we're gonna go. And I'm like, I get it, I totally get it. Like, me too, you know, same. Like, my manager was like, what the hell just happened? I was like, I mean, I spit up on the table. I don't know.
You didn't get fired?
No.
I think the best part of that is that you still had a job after you did that.
I did still have a job. It was too busy and there weren't enough people to work. Shout out Woody's Barbecue, Ponte Vedra Beach.
So, Nicolette, I'll ask you why Ashley's making a drink, but if you could go back and talk to yourself 10 years ago, what advice would you give yourself on just in general?
If I could go back and talk to myself 10 years ago.
So how old were you 10 years ago?
23.
Nice.
I would say don't do anything different, because all the things that I was like so and I went through some dark shit, man. I mean, I lived in some weird places. I got mixed up with some weird people and did some questionable shit, and I didn't like myself a lot, then. And all the things that I hated about myself now are like what all people that I love and respect so much love about me. And so I've been able to like love myself and what comes out of that. And I would just say like, all right, this is weird. Hopefully grow out of it, but I wouldn't change anything, because it's just, I mean, it had to be the way it was.
I don't think I would either. I think I would just say, buckle up, bitch. It turns out really cool.
Yeah, right. Totally. Like it actually, for once.
I'm like,
look with the months.
Look, I'm from the future, right? I'm the future you. This turns out super fucking cool.
Right.
So, try not to drink so much. Maybe smoking cigarettes is bad, but sometimes it's cool.
It's good.
Sometimes you meet cool folks. Anyway, this turns out really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that's like when I went to Thailand, that monk told me, he was like, everything has been like hard and you're just tired. I know that you're tired. I went to Thailand for like Yipeng Festival or whatever. Mm-hmm. And this monk invited me to a monastery on Yipeng, which is a whole crazy thing. But anyway, he was like,
these sentences, this monk invited me to this party.
No, it's true.
It's like me when I woke up on this yacht one time.
Right. And he was like, hey, everything's about to get awesome for you. And I mean, he was right, because that was right when I was signing my new deal and doing all this stuff and like really just being loved and respected by all these people that I looked up to for so long. And yeah, it turned out cool. Like, I would have never thought 10-year-old, like, come on
10
now.
years ago, I was 26. If I could look at 25-year-old me and go, I know this one sucks.
If I would have told me that, like, I was going to write with an Ashley and a Lori and a Shane and a Brandy and a Connie and a whatever, like, I would have been like, oh, okay, cool.
I just wouldn't want to spoil it for 10 years ago me.
No.
Just say, it turns out really cool.
Yeah. Well, and Nicolette, you brought up something that I had put on my notes. I just wanted to talk about for a minute the experience that y'all had writing Ashley's current single with Shane McAnally, because I know that was the first time for both of you to write with him. And I know that you've cut up and told me stories of how it was and how intimidated y'all were at first, but how fun it was. So I just wanted the listener to hear how that was, because I'm happy that the song is out as a single and doing well. And
I mean, I couldn't be more tickled that the song happened the way it did. But as it turns out, the very first time we wrote this song, I was filming a thing for CBS Sunday Morning, and I already had the co-write scheduled.
Yeah, that's right. We did that
and they said, could we film you doing a co-write? Well, we know that anytime you're writing, if you have a third body in the room, that changes what's going to happen.
Especially if they got a camera.
Right. It's just got to be the two minds that are happening. And Nicolette walks in and says, I keep thinking about the phrase airport hotel. Okay, so we come up with airport hotel. This is not someplace you want to be, right? You're only there for like a little while.
It ain't good.
It's not your ideal situation. So we did, it ain't something you want to spend a lot of time in. I'm just crashing while I'm passing through. Ain't what you wanted, but don't it kind of get you what you couldn't figure out what was wrong with it. So we decided to save it because our next time together will be with Shane. And I'm nervous and she's nervous. But
I was so nervous. I just signed there and I was like, am I about to suck? And
well, and as luck would have it, we got half a chorus here that's very viable. A first verse and a half a chorus that's really viable. And we asked him what was wrong, and he said there was nothing wrong with it. And we're like, well, it's not. We're missing this line, and we want it to like punch. And so we sat there and talked with each other, the three of us, about our one night stands. Not in detail, but just elements.
Enough.
Just elements that would cause more conversation. And one of us said, there's only one nightstand in a hotel.
You said that. And Shane thought you said.
I said there's 2 beds and there's one nightstand because they're one night standers. And he said,
did you just say one
night
night
standards? And I said, no, I didn't. He said, yes, you did. And so we went, let's just stick to the one night standards. And it was perfect. And that fixed the whole chorus and the first verse and caused.
And then he just made us tell the truth. Which was
and he did ask. He said, are we being fully honest here? And so all we did was, I ain't Cinderella, but who is, which is a Nicolette Hayford line.
I love it. And that's, to this day, one of my favorite songs that y'all did together. So I'm excited that it's doing as well as it is and it's out there. And I love that story. So I wanted y'all to share it on here. And the other thing, Ashley, that I was going to dive into was just talking a little bit about how you feel when you put music out into the platform. I know I can laugh a little bit with Nicolette because I know how it is just working with her every day. And for me, when I started this podcast, I'm very much behind the scenes and I don't like being the center of attention. I like to help y'all chase your dreams. But I knew that doing something like this would benefit people who are trying to chase their dreams or be able to hear other people's stories. And so I had a lot of anxiety about doing this. So I was just curious how you handle releasing new music and putting out projects to the world. Do you have anxiety about it? How do you cope with it?
I have anxiety about things like driving to the Ryman when we have to perform, because where will I park? I have anxiety about calling the eye doctor. And what if I can't make that appointment work? Like, what day do I tell them? I have anxiety about everything except making music. And our goal, making this record and the first record, but especially this record, was to gather some songs we loved and play them in a way that you will listen to them more than once. And if that's your only goal, you're not going to lose. Because we're not writing for radio, we're not writing away from radio, we're not trying to take a stance anywhere. We're just trying to be a rock and roll band and make some music. And so putting music out doesn't give me anxiety. I do get very excited to see responses. And I'm not meaning numbers, not sales. People sending you messages that say, this song helped me in this way. And that's what's really, really cool about making music. But it does not make me anxious to make new music and put it out. It's every other aspect of life that freaks me the out.
I get that. And one thing too that I wanted to talk to you both about was just giving advice to people who are here in town. And what's one thing that you would tell someone that they could take home with them as far as a Nicolette, from a songwriter standpoint? There's going to be days, you were talking about your worst day as a writer is still better than a day job, but I know there's a lot of times that you have rights and stuff, or before you had a deal, there was days that you didn't have rights. What do you do then? How do you prepare for that kind of stuff? What advice would you give a writer who's trying to get better?
I would think I guess what I've learned that's been helpful is, first of all, like, don't buy into the false sense of urgency, like the tip sheets or somebody's cutting or somebody's whatever. It's like, just, that's not a thing. Like, it is, but it isn't. Like, that shouldn't control what you're pulling out of the ether, You're never, maybe in some rare instances, but you're not going to get your best from operating from that. And also, if you're a writer that's really in it, like, you know what your thing is. Like, you know whether it's like a meat on the bone thing, or you're really good at weird phrasing, or you're really good at melody, or you're really good at having good ideas. Like, and an idea is really where it's at. Like, that's what you should spend most of your time on, is just making sure you got something that's worth a shit to even write about. But it's okay to, like, I mean, being good at anything is knowing what you're not good at. So, like, it's okay to know what your thing is and let your thing become the thing, instead of trying to make your thing be everybody else's thing, you know?
How about you, Ashley?
When I write, especially she and I, but also true with Jeremy Bussey and so many of my co-writers, even new folks that I meet to write with, I have two things that I want to check off. Do we like it? And do we believe it? I don't care who's cutting what. I don't care if I'm cutting. I don't care if you're cutting. I don't care. All I care is, do we like it?
Do we believe
and
it?
do we believe it?
And rewriting. Holy crap.
Ugh. Rewriting. We rewrote Voodoo.
Shit. We've rewritten shit so many times.
Yep. There have been times when Nicolette has hit delete on her Mac, erased the entire song. And I write on sketch pads, and I will take the whole page and just rip it out and throw it away. No one will ever know it existed.
Just forget that. We did it wrong. You know?
It's okay to recognize in yourself that you chased the wrong thing for 2.5 hours. That's fine. Do you like it? Do you believe it? And don't be afraid to be wrong. You're going to write some shitty songs in your lifetime. So has every hit writer you've ever heard of. But those have to come out too.
Yeah.
Because you have to, I don't want to say, can we say the D word?
I mean,
you have to douche those out of your brain.
I was like, which D word you go for, dog?
You have to let those out of your brain, wash those out of your brain before you can let whatever's behind them come all the way out.
When I actually heard an older writer tell a young writer one time, like, you got to write the bad ones to get to the good ones. Mm-hmm. And I've always used that line with everyone, because it's kind of like practice. The more you write, the better they get.
It's kind of like doing push-ups.
Yeah, working out. I don't know about that.
I suck at push-ups. But the more you do, the better you are at them. And maybe I should start doing push-ups. But it's all, I mean, it's the more you do, the better you'll be at it. And the more you'll recognize when it's not good. If you write 100 songs in a month and you think they're all 100 are great, you wrote 100 terrible songs.
Also, I think there's something that people don't really talk about too, is that, like, it's okay to, like, I forget who told me, but somebody told me a long time ago, like, if you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Mm-hmm. And
I was told if you're the most talented person in the room, you're in the wrong room.
Yeah, I mean, and I think there's just something to, like, you know, we get here and we meet people and we form these things, and sometimes you outgrow those things, and sometimes people's feelings get hurt, and that's not a personal thing, but that's a hard thing. Like, as a writer, like, I've done that, mm-hmm. and that's a hard thing that I like to struggle with. And it's like, man, like, it's just you're just evolving, and some people are going to evolve with you and some people aren't, and it's all part of it, and it's okay. And, like, you know, like, you don't need to be like a dick to anybody, but, like, I'm just saying, like, that's something that people don't really talk about, is, like, when you've outgrown stuff, and
when you
how
leave a certain
crucial
group,
to the process that is of just, like, changing rooms. Like, some of those people are gonna come with you, and some of them aren't, and some of them are gonna be happy for you, and some of them aren't, and, like, that's just part of it, and that's the part of it that really sucks.
Yeah.
But that's normal too. Like, you don't have to be so loyal to something that's not working for the sake of being loyal if it's not helping. Like,
well, we're all loyal to each other, but
right. But you know what I mean.
But also, when you're Sorry.
What's this?
It's been an hour.
Oh.
And
We're all
sanitizer
loyal
break.
to each other as writers, but as who you write with all the time and who you produce with all the time,
Sure.
not going to stay the same. I'm not with the first boyfriend I ever had, are you?
Right, exactly.
I went through several phases of all kinds of things before I settled into realizing who I was as a writer.
And that's a scary thing.
And we all will. And so I don't care if you're 12 years old or if you're 19 or if you're 39 and just now starting to write songs, you're going to go through those kinds of phases. But I can always go back. I could list you 15 writers right now that have helped build my career. But my number one is this bitch. Just is.
I just can't.
Just is.
I love it. And I truly believe that you two as a duo is something people will be talking about 20, 30 years from now.
We're like Simon and Garfunkel if Simon and Garfunkel were like drunk or high half the time.
Hey!
Well, and
Ain't no
Ashley, I know that you don't
sanitize.
like calling it an artist thing, but to a young artist, someone who maybe just signed a deal or is in the middle of negotiating that, what piece of advice would you give them?
Oh, if you're negotiating a deal right now?
Not just that, but like if they're a young artist who maybe say they don't write as much as y'all do, but they're about to go through, radio tour and the whole thing that you've been through it all. What advice would you give to the artist side of things?
So an artist that's about to do radio tour, a few things. Drink as much water as you can. It won't matter. Don't get drunk every night. That won't matter either. You're going to be the sickest you've ever been in your life, which is strange because we're going through a pandemic right now, but I was the most ill I've ever been in my entire life after radio tour. And John Osborne said to me, you're going to do fine. You'll come out of this sickness and your immune system will be immaculate. And that's true. You can drink as much water as you want, stay away from alcohol as much as you want, stay away from cigarettes and dip as much as you want. You're still going to get sick because your body's going to be so worn down. You're going to do things from 7 or 8 a.m. until about 1 a.m. Then you're going to go to sleep, get up, get on a plane, do another thing. And it's going to wear your body down a little bit. And that's okay. It's worth it. It's definitely worth it. And I don't mean just for the radio relationships. I mean for your body to go through it. The show you want to put on someday in your amphitheater, in your arena, in your club, that show that you want to put on is going to rely on what you did during radio tour and how far you'll push yourself. Make sure you have somebody you can talk to for God's sake. For me, it was Terry Clark. I could text her anytime, day or night, and she would answer me because she'd already been through it. But if you're an artist getting ready to go into this stuff, man, it's going to suck. And somebody told me it was going to suck too, and I was like, it won't suck that bad. No, it sucks. It does.
Yeah.
It also doesn't suck. And you can't have it. You can have the thing you want unless you do it. So just do it to the best of your ability. Make everybody happy. Make everybody feel like they're the only person in the room. And you know what? Make every radio station feel like they're the only one you're going to visit because they might be the only one that plays your single. And they might not even play it. You can even walk into that station knowing they're not going to play it. And you still owe them 100% of yourself.
It's better than being a maid.
It's better than scrubbing. Oh, you know what? It's not better than scrubbing toilets because I got good money scrubbing toilets. But if this is what you want to do and this is who you are as a person, you better give this PD who has a very hard job, this MD who has a very hard job at radio, you'd better give them 100% of yourself. You'd better. Because they're already not going to play your stuff. So you might as well entertain them to the best of your ability.
True. Well, thank you both for getting on here today. I had a blast. I actually am around Nicolette a ton, and I still heard stories that I hadn't heard before. Throwing up on the table was one of those. So thanks for getting on here. And I think that people are going to love what y'all had to say, and I love you both.
I can't wait until this is all over and I can come sit with you and have this drink with you.
I know. Cheers. Last time I saw you was at the Luke show, and it was only for a couple seconds, so we're going to have to hang out soon. Cheers. I can do that.
Cheers.
Ting,
Miss you,
ting.
Debbie.